Brothers, welcome to the Broadsheet Club, and the occasional sister too. Here's some throwback stories for you, and these are children friendly, so if you've got kids they can listen. Most of mine aren't, but these ones are. The first one starts top of the North Island, right up, way far up. I was travelling around in an Austin J4 van, 4-cylinder little engine, with my girlfriend, my very first girlfriend, Diane. And we were living in this van, and we'd go from place to place, and I would work in the odd place doing a bit of haymaking. In this particular place where we'd stopped off, I'd been working for this Christian guy, and been going to church with him and that, and doing his hay, and it was a hard job. I remember I got a hedgehog stuck into my leg. It got caught in the bale, and when I lifted it up and went to use my knee to put it up into the truck, it pierced my leg and I got infected. And other things happened working along the way. I had a Magnum 22, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about how I got the permit for that, the license, because I didn't have a firearms license, and I wanted to get this Magnum. So it was in the shop there in Kaitaia, and I went to the police station, and there was a big fat Māori guy sitting down having his lunch, and I said, I want to get my firearms license. And he says, have you read the code? And I said, no. He says, read this. And so I went outside the office and I read it, and I came back into the office, and he goes, you read it? And I said, yes. Did you clear on everything? And I think so. No, I'm dyslexic, so I hadn't done a particularly good job of reading it. And so he started asking me questions. There was some written stuff and there was some oral stuff. And I didn't do a very good job, but it was his lunch break and he wanted to finish his lunch and he was still eating. And so he goes, when you're holding a firearm, where should you point it? And I was like, the ground? And he goes, correct. That rule has changed today. Today the rule is you point it in a safe direction away from anybody, but back then it was the ground. It's changed. I know that because when I set my firearms license years later, I got that one wrong. And then he asked me another one. When you are crossing a fence, where do you put your firearm? And I went, I don't know. And then he gave me 3 options of ideas, and I got one wrong. He said, but you didn't mean that really, did you? And I went, no, I didn't. And I went through the whole test with him helping me just to get through it so he could sign it off and he could finish his lunch. He was a cool guy, a big guy, and I was like, well, have I got it? He goes, congratulations, you've got a firearms license. Here's a piece of paper and you'll get it in the post. So I got it with him helping me with the written and with the oral, and I never should have got that firearms license. Lovely, lovely guy. So that was me, and I went down to the shop and bought my 22, and I was stoked. My Magnum 22, I still got it to this day. And then I said to my girlfriend at the time, Diane, we're going to go and hunt turkey, because I'd seen wild turkey, and I believe they're still up there are wild turkey. So we head up to Te Purepura Bay. That's at the very top of with Cape Reinga, I think it is, Te Purepura Bay. Yeah, we head up there, and oh wow, that was a magic time. And on the way up to Purepura Bay, we see these turkey in a field, which I knew were there, and there's a bit of traffic, and you're not allowed to discharge a firearm on a public road, so I'm waiting for the traffic to go and park on the side of the road. And I see this great big gobbler, real big one, and I said, I'll go for that one there, the biggest. So just parked beside the road, traffic going, waiting for no traffic, and I lean on the post, and I've only got iron sight, so I haven't got a proper scope, and I'm aiming for the head of this turkey, and I squeeze one off and completely miss it, and the turkey just keeps on carrying on doing turkey stuff, walking around, reload, aim again, miss it again. I haven't even sighted this thing in. I keep on just watching where it's going behind it and adjusting for it. Eventually I work out where I think it's going to be, and bang, knock this turkey flat out, dead on the ground. I take the bolt out of the rifle, I secure it and put it back into the van, and I said to my girlfriend, I'll go and get the turkey and I'll bring it back here. So anyway, I run out to the field to get the turkey. It was flapping a little bit in the paddock, pretty much, but it's dead. Well, at least I thought it was dead. Get into the paddock there and grab this turkey. And as I grab it, the bloody thing comes alive. Oh, I'd only knocked it out. I only just skimmed its head. It wasn't even like, it was just a little nick, just knocked out. And this thing starts fighting me. It's like, got these talons like scratching me, scratching my shirt, scratching my face. And I'm trying to hold it, its wings and these legs. It just goes, I'm like, help, help, help. And my girlfriend's trying to laugh. And I said, bring me a knife, bring me a knife. So she grabs the only thing she can find, which is a Swiss Army knife. It's got everything in it. And she brings it out. And I've got the Swiss Army knife. And she runs back to the van. And now this tourist bus comes along with a whole lot of tourists, a whole lot of Japanese tourists on. And another big Maori guy, not the policeman, another big one, who was so big that he had the tops that they wear for driving. He gets out of the bus to let everybody out, and they're just like getting out to look on the sort of countryside right beside where I am. And then they all realise this guy in this paddock, this little skinny white guy, is getting beaten up by this big turkey, and it's still like it's scratching the hell out of me. I've got blood on me, there's feathers going everywhere. I'm trying to hold it down, I can't get it. It's crazy, man. And these Japanese tourists all getting their cameras out and they're all clicking photos of me getting attacked by this turkey. And I remember the bus driver, the big Māori guy, he had the shirt on and his arms were so big they were sort of popping out the side of the shirt where it goes up there, and he had his arms like this, and you could see his shoulders going like this because he was laughing at me getting attacked by this turkey, and all these people like photographing me while I'm getting attacked. And eventually I get the saw blade open on the knife, because it's got different things. It's one of those Swiss Army knives with multiple blades. And I've got this neck and I'm trying to saw this bloody bird's head off, and it's like really slow and it's scratching me, and I'm like going like a sewing machine needle really fast trying to saw it off, and eventually I get into some area where I'm getting bone and it's not killing it, and it's just horrific. It's hideous. Poor old turkey. Eventually I start to get into it and then get through, and long story short, finally killed the turkey. It was bloody a terrible, inhumane death. It was barbaric and horrible, and it wasn't my intention, but it was the only thing I could do, and I'm covered in scratches. I get my turkey back to the van, and everybody's like coming out to see me. I'm getting back to the van, all these Japanese people, hello, and they're like talking, they weren't getting these photos of this great big turkey, and I'm covered. I've got scratches on my face. I get into the van, finally got the turkey in the back. I didn't even bother plucking it or anything. I get in the van and we're driving back to where we're staying, where I'm doing the haymaking, and I start to itch and scratch, and I realise I'm covered in these lice, because all of these turkeys that are wild up north there, they have these lice everywhere. They're covered in these bloody lice, and I'm covered in lice, and they're in my hair, they're everywhere. Get back to home, I have a shower, and we only had cold shower there, didn't have a hot shower, it was just a working quarters with a cold shower. I'm scrubbing and I'm covered in scratches, my belly, my hands, my face. How I didn't get an eye scratched out, God knows. I was like absolutely caned by this frigging turkey. Anyway, then I go out after having a shower and put it in a bucket of hot water, drop it in that there, take it out and I pluck it, and then I gut it and hung it in the shed. And then the next day I put it in my big slow cooker and I cook it, and I cooked it for probably 3 hours, which was about 10 hours too short. I probably should have cooked it for a whole day. And that night, for our next dinner to have turkey, I said, right, we'll have our turkey, and I got my knife up and tried to cut it. It was like a big rubber boot, and we're like chewing it. We couldn't eat this fucking thing. It was dog tucker. It was horrific. It was horrible. It was chewy, and it was the worst experience, and my first experience with my Magnum 22 of hunting some food to eat with my girlfriend. And she said to me, I think I'll just stick to your fish next time, because I used to catch a lot of fish. Anyway, that was the first story I wanted to tell you about the turkey that beat the crap out of me. I do have more stories. I don't know how many I'll tell tonight because it's pretty late. The second story I want to tell you is one that I have told my children, and I want to record this one for them. Most of these stories are for my kids anyway, really. I mean, when you tell a story like this, you're really telling it to only one or two kids, and I think about my son and my two daughters. My poor daughter, this story. She was traumatised this day. It must have been very hard for my kids growing up with me for a dad, because I did some stupid ass things. It was when we lived in this house, but we didn't own it. When I I rented this place for 14 odd years, and the farmhouse was pretty rough. I mean, one night, my daughter, Dana, one night she woke up in the night, a rat had crawled out of the wall and jumped on her face in the night, and when she grabbed it to take it off, it stuck 4 marks and left 4 claw marks down her face, and she threw it into the wall. Dana will never sleep in that room again in the house because the rats infested it. This place wasn't really fit for human inhabitants, but we lived in it because it was cheap and we were renting. It's hard to believe that I now own it and it's been rebuilt, but that was not a story I was going to tell you. That just to basically showcase how bad the house was, and it was cold in the winter. Now it's insulated in my bedroom, but I'm going to move out of the house eventually. I'm going to move into a log cabin, but that'll be a story for another day. I want to get to the actual story. This one is, she was only very, very young because we've been here for a long time. I think she was about 7 or 8, and I didn't have a boat, and I wanted to go and catch some fish. I had nothing at all. I didn't even have a kayak. I was playing a little bit of music in the local pubs, and I was teaching a little bit of music, and I wanted to catch some fish at sea. So I said to her, I'm going to go and get a great big scraper tube. That's off a scraper, the big vehicle. It's bigger than a tractor tube. Way, massive truck. Scrapers are huge. And I'm going to blow it up, then I'm going to tie it in half, and I'm going to make it into a little canoe. Seemed like a good idea at the time. So I got my big tube. It was big, it was massive. It took a whole trailer just to carry it. We had this trailer that was completely illegal, and we headed down here to McKee Domain, my daughter and I set myself up on the beach and got a fishing line that would be good enough, a hand line, good enough to catch a snapper, a big snapper. So I used some quite good hooks, and I paddled out on my tube, and I said to her, you wait on the beach and I'll be in soon, and hopefully I'll bring some fish home for tea. So she sat on the beach. I lit a fire on the beach so she was warm, and she sat by the fire. I might have actually given her something like some marshmallows to toast, or I can't remember. I would have left her with some food to keep her occupied, and she watched. And she was watching me, and what she didn't know when I was out there fishing was a massive shark got hold of my hook, and I was just drift fishing. And she was starting to panic because she saw me getting towed up and down the bay rapidly fast, getting pulled along. I mean, I was getting speed, and I don't want to cut the line. I don't know what I was thinking. I was never going to land this thing. It was way bigger than, it was probably a Mako shark or maybe a bronze whaler, a big shark. But all my daughter could see was me getting pulled around. And on the beach I could hear, Dad. And I couldn't say, I'm okay, sweetheart. She was thinking she was going to lose her dad that day. I saw something roll over in the water, and big squirrel, don't know what it was. It was bigger than I thought maybe it had been a manta ray, but it was bigger than that. It had too much force. I think it was just a big, massive Noah, a big shark. My poor daughter was absolutely terrified. She thought she was going to lose me that day, and eventually I had to break the line. Eventually, because it wouldn't break, because it was a hand line, it was real thick stuff. It just wasn't going to, and it was going further out to sea, and I had to cut it because I was getting towed way out and super fast, and I had to get back in. So I cut the line, lost all my line, and paddled back in, and my poor daughter Dana was on the beach, and she was absolutely traumatized. She said, Dad, I didn't know what was happening. Something was pulling you around. I thought I was never going to see you again. You were getting pulled way out to sea. And I said, I was okay, sweetheart. It's just a fish I couldn't land. She said, it must have been like a whale, Dad. I said, no, it wasn't a whale, sweetheart. It's probably just quite a big snapper or something. I didn't tell it was a shark because she was already traumatized. So we went home that night with no fish at all. My poor daughter. I've got a couple of photos here. One is of a dog called Ding. That was absolutely useless as pig dog. And the other one is a dog called Z. Now I have told this story before, so some of you might know it. There goes Z again, and that is the biggest pig that I ever caught in my life. It was 180 pound. That was caught up Goat Creek up the Pierce Valley. Now Z was a dog I was given to be put down. Z had been killing cats in Amano Street in Nelson, and my friend Chris Pearson, it belonged to him. He had a family, 2 kids and a wife, and he said, Z was actually found finally shaking a cat to death. I think it killed about 12 cats, and the dog ranger said that's going to have to be put down as a menace. So he gave it to me. Now I had Tinks, who was a useless pig dog. I had Girl. I think I had Chun Chun. Maybe another dog that looked like a toy. I had a few dogs, and I used to live up the Pierce just about all the time in Baz's hut up there. Baz Bay only had a hut, but he was overseas, and I'd stay up there. I just come back from Germany. It would be 2004. I was having a break. My last tour in Germany was 2005. 2004 to 2006 I started hunting. I was transitioning from playing in Europe to getting back into the New Zealand outdoor life. And I'd stay up in the hut there at the Pierce, and this particular day I was up there. I had a Toyota Land Cruiser, which I've still got. It was my first Toyota Land Cruiser, an old 4.2 naturally aspirated. No, I bullshit. I had a 13BT Land Cruiser, a 3.4 with the FRP top, a white one, and I gifted it to my friend Kevin, who was a good bastard. I actually gave him the Land Cruiser as a gift. He was a Māori guy that I met at the hut one time. He came up to hunt, and we ended up hunting for a long time, and I ended up giving him that Land Cruiser, and I can still remember the license plate, TL1234, tender loving 1234. It was just what it turned out. Anyway, I digress. This particular day, I've been given that dog to shoot. I said to my mate Chris here, I can put that down for you, mate. It's not a job I enjoy doing, but it's a job sometimes it has to be done. And so I took this dog here, and also this one here. I took that dog and also my own dogs up to the valley, up Goat Creek to shoot it. All my other dogs had tracking gear on, except this dog. It was on a rope and had nothing on. It was a house dog. And all my pig dogs suddenly took off. They took off up the valley and up the side of the hill, and Z pulled the rope out of my hand and took off with them. So she still had the rope round her. Now she was a Ridgeback cross, big dog, bigger than all my dogs, and she took up, and next minute all the dogs came piling down the hill. Now I had my Magnum 44 back then, but there was too many dogs around it to shoot anything, and it came down right towards me. I ended up climbing up a bloody tree. I was terrified. This pig was like smacking all the dogs off, and the only one that was on it when it came to me was Z. The rest were getting thrown off, and she was hanging on for dear life. And then it went further down into Goat Creek, about another 50 metres below me, because I was part way up the hill, and I ran down as fast as I could go. And when I got down there, my dog Girl, she was bleeding out. Chun Chun was bleeding out. They were all on the bank. Tink was just barking. The other dog was like a toilet brush, was doing nothing. And the only dog that was holding this pig was Z. And Z had this pig and had it by the left ear. So I grabbed I had a Magnum 44. I grabbed that, threw it on the bank, because I had it slinged over, took it off, threw it on the bank, and they were inside the creek, and I jumped into the creek, and the dog had the pig's left ear, and I straddled it with the leg on either side, and I grabbed its right ear, and it was trying to hook me and was going round and round circles, and eventually I got a knife into it. Took 2 times I got a knife into it and dropped it, and I was like, holy shit. It was a massive pig. Now I'm not a very big guy, and I've never been a very strong guy, but I always gave it my best shot. I pulled this pig out of the bank, and then I checked all my dogs out. Poor old Girl was really not good. I put my fingers in her gums to make sure she hadn't bled right out. She still had some blood returning. And each dog was full of holes, but they were going to make it. And we weren't far from the truck. We were only like maybe 100 metres tops to the truck and the Toyota Land Cruiser. So I dropped the guts out and rolled the pig up to get it on my back. And I rolled it up and I tied it up. And the only way I could get to my feet was to have it on the bank above me. And I put my feet below the bank, so as I leaned forward, I would have got to my feet with 180 pounds on my back. I got to my feet and I thought, oh, that's so heavy. I'd never had that much weight. The most I'd ever carried was 140 pounds. And I started walking up this bank really, really slow. And then I probably got about 20 metres, and then I passed out because I woke up with the pig on top of me, and my face was right next to a puddle, and I was I was out for the count, and I'd actually passed out carrying this thing. I don't know whether I hadn't had enough Weet-Bix for breakfast that morning, or whether I had a flu or cold, but normally that wouldn't happen, but just, that was it. I was out for the count and woke up, still with a pig on me. I woke up with a dog licking my face, and took the pig off. I thought, there's no way I'm going to get this up now. So I took all my dogs and I threw them all. I walked back to the truck and left the pig there, and the truck's got a winch on the front of it, or had a winch on the front. When I gave it to Kev, that's the one thing I kept, is I kept the winch, and I put that same winch on my next ute that I have. I keep calling them trucks, they're utes. And that was a ZX with the 4.2 naturally aspirated diesel engine, which I've still got in the garage. It needs a bit of work done. So I put the winch from Kev's truck when I gave it away onto this one here. I'd already given Kev that truck, I think, by then. Not sure. Details a bit shady. Long time ago. Anyway, got the truck as close to the pig as I could get it, pulled the winch out and hooked onto the pig, and I winched the pig the rest of the way from the bush to the track and manhandled it. It was so heavy onto the front. I don't know how guys that carry 2-tonners, I don't know how they do it, because I struggle that far. I'm a lightweight, I'm not very strong. Got it on the truck and took it back to the hut that night. Slept that night, and the next day I took it to the Wakefield. There was a really, really good butchery that used to make really, really good bacon, and it took 3 men to lift it off the truck. All the dogs ended up going to the vet, and so Z didn't get put down. Z was the only one that caught that pig, and I hunted Z for a long time after that, but something went wrong. And what happened was that every time I went hunting, Z was the only one on the pig. There was no other dogs next to it. All my other dogs that were going good. And it was on Guy Fawkes night when I was living, not here, in another place in Mapua, and I kept 2 pigs in a pen that I'd fattened, and I decided that I would shoot them on Guy Fawkes night because there would be nobody suspicious I was letting off a firearm, because my gun would be going off, all the crackers going off. So when I shot the first pig, Z came charging out, and so did another one of my dogs when I shot it, and got excited, and the other pig started running. I wanted to shoot them bang bang, but the other dog started chasing the pigs up and down outside of the pen, and Z was hocking my other dogs every time they tried to chase the pig. And I realised that Z had been doing this all the time on my pig dog. She'd been biting other pig dogs, and she'd been fighting to have the pig for herself. And it explained why my dogs had all these rips around their hocks, which I always thought was the pig doing it. I always thought the pig's been biting, but she had. And she'd stuffed up all my dogs, and also a few cats have been going missing in Mapua. So on that night, I made an executive decision to put her down, because I realised that she was attacking other dogs, and also cats have been disappearing, and I didn't want any more dogs to be injured. And I realised it was nothing I was going about a trainer, and I couldn't rehome her because she's actually under orders to be put down anyway for killing cats, and I probably should have done the job straight away, but because she had hunted so well, and she wasn't a pig dog, and it was a hard thing to do because I actually loved her, but that was a hard call. I couldn't rehome her because she was a liability to hurting other dogs. She killed people's pets, so I would have liked to keep on hunting her. I thought maybe later I could rehome her to a guy that would hunt her by herself, but that would be passing on a whole lot of troubles. And being an old dog, there was no way. And she had a very, very good time with me, but it was a short time. And it was a quick, humane death for her. Not a happy ending, but a story that I wanted to share with you about Z. And she killed a lot of cats, that pussy killer. Anyway, brothers and occasional sister, it's late. I've been on a bit of a cloud the last 2 days, and I think I'm just starting to come down. I haven't been sleeping a lot because I've been too excited. Because I finally fulfilled a dream in my life, and that was I bought a brand new V8 Land Cruiser. I wasn't going to buy the 2.8. No, I bought the V8. It's beautiful. I've done a video on my Patreon of buying it. I'm not going to post that public because I had a really crazy emotional experience when I bought it that I just wasn't expecting. Like it affected me in a way I didn't expect. I'm not that proud of it, but my mate Simon said it's okay to be like that sometimes. I just got overcome with emotion when I sat inside it. And you'll see it anyway. You'll see it in my Clay Tool Stories channel, the other channel, when I start hunting again. The last hunting video I posted on Clay Tool Stories got taken down after 20 minutes. It got 1,000 views and it got taken down. And I'd already edited out all the killing, the gutting, all the scenes. That full video I posted on Patreon first. It's still up there, but when I put it on public, it's just so difficult to show anything. You can't even show the pig after it's dead. It's ridiculous. It's a crazy, shaken up world we live in, eh? Anyway, just a very, very sort of mishmash of stories tonight. It's late and it's my bedtime. If you know a brother that's struggling, go check on him. This is the Bro Check Club. Share a few stories. They might help cheer someone up. They might not. I don't know. I don't know if it helps or not. But, you know, we're all just doing the best we can with what we've got. We don't get it right all the time, and that's okay. And remember, it's okay to not be okay sometimes too, because we're only human. And we're all just like going through this life, doing the best we can with what we've got. And me personally, I want you guys to know that I'm just winging it the whole time. I don't have a real good plan. I'm just winging it. I'm just making it up as I go along, because there are no real rules. But one thing I will say is, choose to be happy. Don't search for happiness. Just choose to be happy. Just make yourself happy. I know it's easier said than done, but don't think you're going to find happiness in things and in people and places. Just choose to be happy now, regardless of what your situation is. That's my philosophy. Just choose to be happy. You don't need to have a Toyota Land Cruiser to be happy. I mean, it's made me happy, but I was happy before anyway. And even if you've got really bad health situation and your girlfriend's left you, or your dog's died, or you had to put it down, just choose to be happy. Because when you get old and you look back and all those sad, shitty times, if you could have changed them, would have you? Yeah. Choose the sunshine over the rain every time, brother, and the occasional sister. No one's got a perfect life. So just with whatever you've got, just make the best out of it and choose to make it as happy as you can do with the situation you've got. That's my philosophy. These are only my words and not necessarily correct, but this is what's worked for me. And I will love you and leave you. Need to cut my fingernails. Good night. Definitely need to cut my fingernails. I can't play guitar like that. See you guys.